Welcome, everybody, to a brand new chapter and a beautiful start here at Congruity 360. My name is Dancy Bearded Online, government name Daniel Command, and I am the host of this show, joined by my co-host, Mr. Nick Phelps. The quickest intros before we get into some long intros in a little bit here. I am a guy with a beard, and I genuinely love talking to people. I am curious about all things. I love bringing the most out of people and getting them to talk about passions that they didn't realize the world even enjoyed. And I promise you we will accomplish that. I'll kick it over to my sidekick. And as the chat said, the boys are back in town. We got some stories for you. Nick, quick intro. And also, how are you doing on this beautiful new day?
Oh man, well, I'm glad to be here. That's for sure. It felt like the longest 3 weeks ever, 4 weeks ever with no live stream during the week. So it's great to have a new home and a new place to be, a new place to hang out on Tuesdays now at 2:00. So this is great. So doing fantastic. And like you say, we'll go into we'll go into details here in a little bit. But like Dan said, my name is Nick Phelps, and I am the CTO and co-founder of a network security and observability company who's a partner of Congruity 360. And I act as an advisor to Congruity 360 in that network security observability kind of space. And just like Dan, I love talking about what I do. And so Dan has, historically speaking, been really good at getting me to do that. So the two of us together hosting this, Dan's going to pull, hopefully, lots of interesting stuff out of myself and whoever else we get to come on here and join us. So glad to be here, and thanks for watching.
Absolutely. And with that, you guys, we've got so much to go over today. Just know everything you expect from a technology, from a data management, a cybersecurity live stream. We're about to flip that upside down, and it's going to be a whole new world, starting with being active in the chat. This is a community. We do want you guys to enjoy the conversation, be involved in the conversation, maybe even chuckle and laugh and have some food for thought out there, you guys. I am beyond excited for this, and we'll have some fun things. Like if you see me do this over here, it's just me judging Nick and giving him a little side eye, but he's not that sensitive. He'll be all right.
Watch it.
And as we are forming this new community here, if you don't mind introducing yourself in the chat in just a quick little bio, maybe share generally where you're from, maybe what you do, and then if you have any interest in the online world of data management, cybersecurity, technology in general, just a quick little intro would be fantastic because we do want this to be hyper involved. This is a live stream. There are no edits. There are no redos. We are here in front of you guys, and we want to cater it to what the audience wants to consume while doing our best to highlight this great company and everything that they have going on within it and surrounding it. And to begin, we're going to say hi in the chat here. We got so many friends that are over. And if you have not, please subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. We're going to take a lot of pride in building this YouTube channel up and providing you guys free content that will add value to your life. Cost you nothing to like the video, to share the video. If you're on your phone, YouTube has this new cool feature called hyping it. If you swipe over, it kind of is their new way to show cool things are going on. But we have Chris in the house. We have Jack. We have Jill in here. Welcome, everybody. JB, Stanley, Jim, Leo, who's been in this space for many, many, many years. We have Jay, Jason, Steven, Matt, Jacob. And Leo says, good to see you expanding your role of live stream host. Thank you. Thank you, Leo. I appreciate that. We have so many people in here. Oh, that's a familiar face at 360. We have Texbeard. We have Matt. So many people. This is really cool, you guys. So again, if you don't mind, drop those intros.
You got to love that. 4 minutes into the first episode here, we got our crew with us. We have our support team with us here. We have people that could answer questions. We got people that I know are going to ask some questions, and lots of people that are going to talk about my shorter beard, which everyone at Congruity is going to say, what's everyone talking about this shorter beard for Nick? He's got like a over a foot long beard. Well, little known fact, I just cut a foot off of this thing. So it was what? It officially got to be half my height. So it was like 30, what was it? Like 34, I guess 34 inches. And so it went from there down to about 18, then back down to about a foot. So it's a little shorter than my national champion beard, but I'm liking it. It's my summer beard.
Yes, and that was not a mistake, you guys. National champion, kind of a cool little mix here. I was a judge at the U.S. National Beard Competition. Those of you on the tech side, yes, that's a real thing. They have worlds and nationals. I was a judge. I was the only judge for every category. Nick was a contestant, and he won his category, which I might say was the most competitive category, and that was pretty dang cool. We were down in Florida. So yeah, you have an actual U.S. champion in front of you guys. And yeah, his beard, I do have to address that elephant in the room. This is the first time publicly that I have a longer beard than Nick.
It is. It's the first time ever. I think it was our last stream on the other channel. I think that was actually the first time publicly. But yeah, it's talk about, it's funny too, because Dan and I would always go out in public, and he's taller than I am. So even when my beard is longer than, even when his beard's longer than mine looked longer because I'm shorter than he is. It just from like a beard to body standpoint was more so. People would always come up and be like, look at these two guys' beards. I mean, yours is great, but wow, yours is so long. And mine was like the same length as Dan's. He's like burning up inside.
Yeah, we have the law of proportionality. My torso is just longer, so it looked like a different backboard. For the record, I am 6'3". I think Nick is in the I'm not even going to, we just go vertically challenged is what we go with that tag.
But Dan's the only friend I have that calls 5'10" vertically challenged.
So true. So true. And we have the mom of the stream in here. Hello, Julie.
That's right. Hello.
It's a
hello.
family affair going on. Okay. As we get into this, we're going to kick it off first with our goals of this weekly live stream. And I will say, when I say weekly, Nick and I, do you remember the number we ended on for our live stream, weekly live stream?
187.
We did 187 live streams together every Tuesday, and we never missed a single week in 187 weeks in a row. That included many vacations, camping, illnesses, COVID, just life and family. We never once missed. I have a reoccurring live stream that's coming up on 8 years every Monday night. I've never once missed. I streamed from the hospital one night when my son was born, just to put that in perspective. It was good. It was good timing. Don't worry. I wasn't missing the birth or anything. But we are very consistent, and we are very, very, very excited. And yeah, we're getting to see people realizing the YouTube handles that they have might not match up a little bit. Aaron said, I'm realizing I have a weirdo username.
That's okay, Aaron. We won't start calling you by your YouTube username in meetings from now on, I promise.
Yes, that is perfect. So we're first going to talk about our goals of this weekly live stream, and then we'll get into a little bit longer form introduction of our story and how we got here. And that is our main goal today, is for you guys to understand what this live stream is all about. More importantly, why it's different, why it's something you've never seen before in this space. And I promise you, we will bring entertainment. It's something you're going to look forward to. Nick and I call it our therapy. This is when we get together and just get to talk and get everything out in the best way possible. And we'll kind of go from there and talk about our audience. But to begin, Nick, on the technical side of things, do you want to start off with kind of like, what are our goals for this show? What are we hoping to accomplish when it comes to C360 and getting it out to the world?
Right. Yeah. So, there's a lot of places where you can go and take a nap listening to data management, data classification and tagging, and data security management.
Yeah, I can't say that, but you can.
Our first goal is to not be that, right? So the first goal of this really is to figure out, Dan and I have managed to talk about topics that are touchy topics. They could be considered less than exciting topics. And we've done exciting topics, and we've done giveaways and events, and we've done all sorts of things. But what's kind of been like a constant tone through all of it is the community involvement side of it, and the community feedback, and then being really collaborative with our community about what it is that we're talking about and what we cover. So the goal for this is to come up with a way that makes hearing about data security management, network security, and observability, the DSPM space, and just overall data security and management in this kind of world that we live in now, right? And doing that in a way that feels like a podcast, and doing it in a way where we bring on guests and we talk about things in a casual way. And I think there's a lot of things that we're going to do with this, and there's a lot of goals of what we want to do. But I think most importantly, those goals kind of got decided by what we don't want to do, right? What we
Yes.
don't want to do, we promise that we will never read you anything off of a
Mm,
PowerPoint slide.
mm.
We're never going to have a sheet up in front of us with bullet points. We're never going to go through a spec sheet with you guys on this live stream. There's websites for that. There's walkthroughs for that. There's technical documentation for those sorts of things. Like Leo here in the audience knows better. He used to be a technical writer all the way back in the 70s, like he was talking about. And so there's plenty of places that have existed for a long time to ingest that type of data. So what we want to do is we want to stay away from doing whatever you guys are used to in the space where you ingest this kind of content. This is going to be a very different platform. We're going to have everybody from thought leaders and contributors internally at C360. We're going to have friends of ours out in the market across people who aren't either partners or customers, that might just be collaborators in this space, people that host other podcasts, people that host other live streams. And then, of course, we're going to have on partners and customers and everything in between. And so what's neat about that is when you have somebody on and we're talking whatever the topic might be, maybe we have someone on in a couple of weeks that's going to talk about ransomware incident responses and working with ransomware negotiators and chasing down Russian ransomware gangs for a living, right? But what it's not going to be is a technical whiteboard session of how he does that. It's going to be a conversational story of this guy's life, how he got to doing what he's doing, how he does, and some cool stories about his time in the field doing those sorts of things. We're firm believers in this, in the fact that the best form of education is storytelling, especially when it's relatable. Like if we can actually engage with you guys and with the audience as a whole, both live and with the playback, and we do it in a conversational way where we do it through storytelling and we discover things together, right? Like I say, I'm just a co-host in this and Dan's just a host, right? The guests and the content and the focus of this is really what's going to be important. We're going to be a constant theme through this for you guys the whole time. But the people we have on and the discoveries that we have and the conversations we dive into hopefully become the backboard of what we're going to look at as a very educational, collaborative endeavor. And I think it's going to be vastly different, like Dan said, than anything you guys have experienced so far, and definitely different than what we've done internally here so far. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
I'm beyond excited. Nick crushed it. And before I get into like our bios and kind of how we got here, first off, Nick mentioned the replay. These videos will live forever. If you are watching the replay, there is a spot on YouTube where you can slide over and see the actual chat that is talking live. So not only do you get to see us and the comments that we highlight on the screen, you can see everybody interacting in the chat, and there is a ability to leave a comment afterwards. So for example, I posted in the chat, if you guys have any questions for us, do you want to get to know us more? Do you want to drop ideas for future episodes or types of content? Leave it in a comment after the video or put it in the live stream chat as we go. We want this to be guided by you guys as much as possible. And that kind of is my goal of this live stream. Is I got to know Nick, and we'll talk about how we got here, but I got to know Nick, and we are super similar in many ways, but we are very different in other ways. So for example, I'm a sports guy. All I really cared about growing up was sports. I did school just to be able to get through sports. I never drank in school or anything drugs related because I loved sports. Nick once made fun of Tom Brady to Tom Brady because he didn't know who he was, and that's an actual real story.
We weren't going to talk about that.
Well, I had to drive the point home, and in case anybody missed it, Nick made fun of Tom Brady to Tom Brady, and then quickly realized who he was. Now,
because he told me.
and to drive that point home, to give you guys an inside look at where I stand in my understanding of data management and cybersecurity in the technology world. I've worked with Nick for over 3 years now. That is my entire extent of anything that I know about that. I am absolutely not a leader in this space at all. I'm barely knowledgeable in this space. But if anybody understands sports, I'm the color commentator. Any great sporting event has 3 announcers. two experts in their craft, but maybe that's all they know is they know football, they know X's and O's, they're a football guy. And then in the middle, you have the color commentator who just loves talking to people, loves pushing the right buttons, likes directing people. And that's going to be my job, getting the most out of any guest that we have, infusing the chat into what we're doing, bringing the best out of Nick. That's what I'm beyond excited about. And I will never, ever try to act like something I'm not. So please understand if you're like, why is this guy here? You'll see. I promise we'll get into that. And with those goals, I think it is probably a good time to hit our origin story and kind of how we got here. And I'll lead it off and then I'll kick it over to Nick for his. I'm from Michigan. I have a family of 5, 3 kids. I have a wonderful wife, and I was a middle school history teacher. So I taught 7th grade ancient world history for 12 years. I also taught some early U.S. history, and I taught geography. Now, fun fact, when I taught geography, my first year in my first hour, I had a student who immediately was more intelligent and knowledgeable about geography than I was. I had to learn real quickly that you can't fake to know things. And that's kind of why I'm here. She ended up winning Teen Jeopardy when she was in my middle school. Now, it was the best thing that ever happened to my geography teaching because I learned how to pronunciate all the rivers and features from her as a 6th grader, which was wonderful. But I taught middle school history for 12 years. And along that way, it was actually about 8 years ago, my wife said to me, hey, I think you should make some YouTube videos about beard care because I get really obsessed with things. I have adult ADHD and I hyperfixate on things that I do. And I got really into beard care and the oils and the history and the science and everything behind it. She said, you should make some videos. So I gathered up what we had at the house just simply to impress my wife. And I started filming some YouTube videos. It slowly started taking off from there while I was teaching. I also got a master's degree in administration at that time because I thought I wanted to be a principal before I realized that was a horrendous job for my personality. And then I got a second master's degree in curriculum development, which I enjoyed, but my YouTube channel started to take off around that time. And I'm here today because all I've done for the last 4 years full time is create content, is to do interviews and live streams. I tallied it up. I'm over 1,500 live streams that I've hosted. I thought that was a really cool number. And that's the main concept is I took a super niche, right? You think about YouTube. My audience was, for the most part, men. So cut that in half, men with beards, and then men with beards that care. And through consistency of posting 3 videos a week at least and 2 live streams a week at least for 8 years, I've never missed. And I've slowly built it up. I got my YouTube plaque back here and was able to turn this into my full-time career. And it's just unbelievably cool to be able to do this and to communicate and talk about a passion that I love. And then now branching off and being able to talk about others and their passions and bringing the most out of it. I could not be happier with how that has come to be. And after Nick tells his kind of story of his background, our origin story of how we got here today is even crazier, and it's going to lead perfectly into what this stream is all about. So Nick, what about your background? Because and I hope you start from the beginning as a teenager, because it's such a cool story of how you got here.
Yeah, it's evidence of a misspent youth is what it is.
Yeah.
That could be the title of a book for sure. Evidence of a misspent youth, the stories of a network architect is so I started off really early. I started off actually in high school in this space. So I've been doing this now for about the better part of 25 years. And I started off at Cisco back in the late 90s, early 2000s was kind of when I was kicking around there, right around the turn of the millennium. I started working at Cisco and their data center operations team when I was just about to turn 17. So I was 16 when I was working there. I was the official youngest full-time hire that they had there at the time. Don't know if anyone's beat my record yet, but to prove it, this is back in the heydays of Cisco when things were fun. My first user ID at Cisco, this proves it, was it wasn't N Phelps, it wasn't Nick Phelps, it was Wonder Boy at Cisco.com. So I was Wonder Boy at Cisco.com for quite a while until I turned 18, and then they changed my username to Master Phelps. So and I've kept that kind of ever since as as a handle and a username. So started off there. And after leaving the manufacturing space, I went out into the government contracting space for a little while. Spent some time working with a couple of companies that specialized in defense systems. Worked in the defense space, the Department of Defense and Homeland Security for quite a while there with those guys. And then I got out into the consulting world, just like a lot of us, right? We take what we kind of learn in the internal space and branch out into the consulting world. And where that kind of led me initially was right when hybrid cloud computing was first really becoming a thing, and first really becoming popular, where people were spreading workloads between the cloud and on-premise data centers. And that consulting, practice, I worked with a couple of partners throughout the area, up here in the Northeast. And really what I found my specialty to be in was where the rubber kind of met the road between virtual and physical networking, and especially where, security, to do wrapping around those types of workloads. So really with a heavy focus on network security architecture, but kind of coming from the lens of a grumpy old network guy that was living in a brand new software defined kind of cloud focused, cloud forward, hybrid kind of cloud world. And so after, again, spending some time at some consulting practices, I branched off into my own world and started a consulting group called Moonrock back in 2014. And we specialized in virtual network security and segmentation. So wrapping security and segmentation policies around existing workloads, securing existing application workloads, application dependency mapping, and those sorts of things. That turned into a software company that specialized in software that did exactly that. And fast forward from there, from doing those things, here I am today, doing very much broadly the same thing. A strong focus on network and security architecture, software development, software architecture, and then spending a lot of time, obviously, in that consulting space as a consulting architect and an advisor to my partners and customers that I've collected throughout the years. So that's sort of me in a brief history of time. Again, very much evidence of a misspent youth. Didn't do a lot of like Dan said, right? It was kind of all a means to an end. He was doing everything he was doing for sports, and I was doing everything I was doing for the love of technology. I was a nerd of nerds. My friends were going to concerts and traveling, and I was sitting on the floor in a raised data center floor with a laptop in my lap at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's where my late nights came from. So it's been a lot of fun, and I wouldn't change any of it. That's for sure. And you can't plan out a path that leads you to being able to do what I do today, really. And I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been a mixed bag of experiences that have kind of all come together and created a really cool, set of experiences.
Yeah, very well said. And same for me, just the craziest culmination of life experiences and work and education to get me here. People will say, like, how can you deal with online and manage the comments and deal with like negativity and stuff? I had 150 to 155 12-year-olds in front of me, 6 different hours a day. Like, if you can get through that, you're going to be fine on any of these things. And also bringing the cybersecurity and the teaching world kind of together, we always had like a big couple of moments throughout the school year where they tested teachers on cybersecurity. And I'm sure this is like an industry standard, but we would always get super nervous because 2 or 3 times a year, they would send out an email that would have a bad link, but it would be just to see which teachers opened the email, which teachers clicked on the link. And then essentially in like staff meetings, they'd like publicly shame anybody that did it the wrong way. And they're like, you could have opened us up to all this. And like, that was our extent of cybersecurity training as teachers were those links. And man, you did not want to be on that list at all.
No. And it's funny being in this space. Obviously, there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this stream, and a lot of people in the audience here watching today that probably are on the sending side of those emails. And so they're probably sitting back in their chair laughing at one of the people that they would be happy to trick.
I never did it. And you would think it was always like the older generation. We would have young kids that would click it. They'd be excited. And man, they would just absolutely read it to you during these staff meetings. And so I was super careful on all my emails. But yeah, I can imagine that side of things. And it was cool to learn about Nick's tech journey. Like, and I'm going to sound so untechnical on these things, and that's okay. I remember Nick talking about one of your early jobs. You had to wear the bracelet that would ground you or something like that, or had like the tether to it.
Oh yeah, yeah. So and everyone, all the all the nerds in the audience here will know the ESD strap bracelets that you used
That's
to
what
have
it
to wear
was.
around. Yeah, exactly. So if you're working on a lab bench around sensitive components, it's a necessary evil. And it's funny too, because one of the things we didn't talk about when last time we talked about that is it's always funny. Like you go to like San Jose, Santa Clara County out there in Silicon Valley, where there's like a whole lot of board manufacturers and people that are still doing like hardware development and hardware manufacturing. If
Okay.
you go out to lunch, you can tell what people do by the ones that have the blue bracelet on their wrist while they're sitting there eating a sandwich. So you look around a little restaurant and you'll see a group of guys sitting there and they all got their little retractable, ID badges. And then you see a group of them that got their little blue elastic bracelets with the contact on their wrist. And you're like, oh, hardware developer.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. I love that. Absolutely
Yep.
love it.
Not
Well,
as yeah, definitely not as necessary these days, but yeah.
makes sense. Makes sense. Now, to get kind of an origin story of those were our paths, how did we come together? And then how does it relate to this? Essentially, I was making beard content, and I don't even know if you touched on this, but Nick started and ran with his wife one of the greatest beard product companies in US history. And that's not an exaggeration. There's many people in here that can vouch for that. He won't ever speak super praise himself in that way, but an unbelievable company. It was called Dr. Nick's. And I was the guy that was helping beard companies. Nick approached for a review, fell in love with the products, fell in love with the people behind the scenes. And he was like, hey, do you think you could help us out with some marketing? I think we have some special stuff, but it's just not enough people using it. And I will never forget our first marketing meeting we ever had. And Nick was like, okay, I got my notes. What's our approach? What's the strategy? What methods are we going to use? And hit me. I'm ready. And I just said, it's just quite simply you, Nick. That's it. He's like, what do you mean? I said, we're going to do a weekly live stream. It's going to be what we call long form transparency, which is what this stream is all about right here. And I want the people to get to know you. I want the people to have access to the company in a real, tangible way. I want them to know updates in a fun, entertaining kind of style. Everyone's listening to podcasts. Everything's going back long form. We had this like streak where everything was short form and our attention spans kind of shrank. Well, now people are craving human interaction. They're craving that connection between company and lifestyle and consumers. And that was my whole goal with Dr. Nick's, was just simply for the world to get to know them and how they did it. And that's absolutely the case here. I've been in on several calls with the marketing team. Dude, I left raving. I would get off our marketing calls and I would immediately call Nick and brag about all the people I was interacting with. And that's not an exaggeration. And we would go in there, and even to the CEO, I don't know if that's good to talk about. Every single person raved about the CEO and talked about how he is a difference maker and how he is the secret sauce. And I'm a firm believer, and you can tell how any kind of company or establishment is based on their leadership because it trickles down, right? If you go to a restaurant and the servers are all happy and in a good mood, I know that manager rocks, right? If I go there and everybody's grumpy and down and not motivated, we got to find a new management team. And so the whole idea of like kind of building Dr. Nick's, of getting people to understand the behind the scenes and connect with the people, was almost training for what we're doing here. And I want to bring everything out of Nick that's going on. I want to bring everything out of the employees that are here and just simply allow them to talk about the things that they unconsciously know, that they could talk about in their sleep. They could talk about on an elevator ride for an hour and just unbelievably tell you all of those details. I want to know those details. I want to package them in a way that's interesting for everybody. And there's no better platform than a live stream on YouTube to be able to do that.
I mean, yeah, you nailed it. And something you hit on there. First of all, I hope I never am on an hour-long elevator ride. That would be just that. Let's just cover that right out of the gate. That's going to be
Fair.
new fear unlocked right there. Um,
Fair.
one of the
Yep.
things, that you pointed out there is the culture, and I think just like you said, it was important for you on our previous live stream to expose the culture, to get me, despite my best judgment, to get me in front of people.
Yeah, he didn't want to. He
No,
was
oh
very
no, good.
against it.
Oh
He was like,
no,
I got to be behind the scenes. I don't want to be on here.
no,
And
I'm
we
a
would have to have,
photographer.
yeah,
It's the
we
wrong
would
side of
have
the lens.
meetings beforehand and talk about it. Once we got about 10 episodes in, it was just free flow, unbelievably.
Oh yeah, like it went from me wanting to jump on 45 minutes before the stream to us, me walking in, eating a sandwich with 5 minutes to go with Dan on camera and sitting down and flicking the lights on for the first time that day, right? It got very comfortable. But what did that was what you hit it on the head. It was the long form transparency that did it. There wasn't any acting involved, right? It
Right.
wasn't one of those things where I had to worry about like, what characters are we going to be today, and what are we trying to portray, and how are we going to frame it, and how are we going to do all these things, like I think the tech world has done for a long time, right? You get a lot of guys on camera that present technical topics, and they do it in a way that is very outside their personality, and it's no fault of theirs, right? The machine that we created kind of mandated that for a long time. It mandated that serious persona, and now with everyone's ingesting information with audiobooks and podcasts and longer form content with real people that are not
Yes.
scripted. And I think that's huge. And you hit it, another really important point, which was the culture at Congruity 360. It starts from the top down. And what I can safely say is that one of the things I enjoy about doing what I do as an advisor and a consultant and a founder of of a company is that I get to really pick and choose who I work with, which
Mm-hmm.
is I don't take it for granted. It is a privilege,
Yep.
and it's fantastic. And I never look at it for anything but what it is. And because of that, I like to think I surround myself with with the best of the best. And if the culture fit isn't there, that's the first thing I look for when I'm looking at either a partnership, an advisory role, or anything else. Is there a culture fit, and can I be myself with this group of people?
Right.
And just talk about proving it, right? Like putting your money where the mouth is, and letting something like this take off, where we're going to take stuff that has been, traditionally speaking, very serious, very
Stiff.
left-brained content, right? And we're going to bring this out in a way that is natural and conversational. But to your point, we couldn't do that unless the culture was there that we could
Yep.
expose to support it. Because Dan and I, we can't be disingenuous. We can't be disgenuine. It's not part of who we are.
No.
We have no filter. We
Mm-mm.
are verbose in our transparency. And because of that, you don't want to have things that you want to hide from people and have Dan and I sitting there in front of you talking about it, because those things are going to come out.
Yep.
So just to kind of speak, I could go on and on about it, but just to speak to that culture for a minute, this wouldn't be possible if the culture of Congruity wasn't something that they wanted the world to experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yep. It's so true. And shout out to them. I fully understand how different this is. I fully understand how trusting this is, right? This is live. Anything can happen. Live happens live is a famous live stream saying, but we are very serious about this. We know the opportunity that's in front of us, and I cannot wait for people to hear these stories and get to know these people. As someone who is a complete outsider, I eat it all up. I mean, are you kidding me? Negotiating with Nick, I learned all about the negotiations with Russia and how they have assistants, and it's like a full like company like hotline, and it's just so dang cool. And look right here, from the marketing team, we're here for it, full send. Like, yes, and I will say too, right from the very beginning, I'm not a part of this world. I don't work with companies like this. I'm very used to working directly with owners and smaller companies. And so there's a part of me that's like, what do I need to speak corporate talk? Do I need to be proper? And then I see lines that are like full send. I'm like, oh, okay. My response was like, let's go. And that's just who I am. And I couldn't be any other way. Now, leaving teaching, Nick nailed it. One of the best things about my life is I get to decide who I interact with.
Mm-hmm.
I have been looking forward to this and waiting and eager to have all these interactions unlocked. And you guys have no idea how cool of a fit this is going to be. I think we can have a slight teaser. I'll let Nick navigate this one about something that makes unbelievable sense for Nick and I to kind of be, I don't know if it's spokespeople or whatever we want to call it, but I don't know what we can say on this, Nick, but there's something exciting coming.
Oh yeah, and so what's really funny about this is, you talk about getting the feeling that you're in the right place at the right time.
Freaky.
Yeah, and so we can't share any screens yet, right? We can't give any details yet, but it is out there. It's out there. People have discovered it. I've received inbound questions about it. The
Okay.
buzz is definitely there, so we can mention the name. Is that there is, there's some cool things coming with something that is so fitting with the name of Project Viking, and this name predated Dan and I both. So you think about just the perfect
Crazy.
fit here is that when I was sitting around with a group of people from Congruity and we were talking about some things that are on the horizon, what's next, what's coming down the line, they started kind of going over some of these plans for some of these future projects that they're working on. And I said, well, what's the name of that one? What's the, what are we calling this product? And they're like, they kind of looked to side. They're like, well, you're not going to believe this. It's actually, Project Viking. And I was like, well, talk about a perfect thing for me to get involved in. So I invited myself. And next thing you know, they got used to me being there. And it's just one of those funny things. So as this transpires and it gets even more, we're going to play out all sorts of fun stuff. I mean, I may or may not have a Viking helmet right there in the other room. That might come out. It's made out of metal. It's heavy. It's almost broken my nose once. It's tasted blood. It thirsts for more. So who knows the fun we're going to have with that sort of stuff. But there's a lot of cool stuff coming down the road here, both internally, both with our partners, in the space out here. And the I guess what I was taking from what you were saying, you're used to working with a different vertical of company,
Yeah.
but you're actually used to working with the same type of company, because the type of company that I view you being a good fit with is lifestyle brands, right? And no one's ever thought before that you're going to get the feel of a lifestyle brand from a data lifecycle management company. But I promise you're going to. I mean, it's going to be collaborative. What's the definition of a lifestyle brand, right? It's something that involves their customer base aren't customers, they're fans, they're collaborators, they're partners, they're influencers, right? And so if we have our pulse to the beat of this community and we have our pulse to the beat of our customer base, that's what makes that transition happen. You move from having customers to having fans and having supporters and collaborators. And next thing you know, your customers become your product development roadmap. They become your marketing team. They become your advocates, right? And those are the sorts of platforms that you can't buy. You can't go out and purchase those things with a contract. You have to cultivate them and you have to create them, and they have to be born organically. And that's what I think you hit it. I mean, you're used to working with a different size of this company, of this type of company. You're used to working with a different vertical. But I'd argue that the reason you're a fit for this live stream and for this endeavor is because this is actually exactly who you're used to working with.
True. I take great pride in building communities. It's one thing that I did in the classroom. I was also a coach for 16 years. It's one thing I did when I was coaching, and now it's what I do on YouTube. I genuinely believe people want to find places where they feel valued, they feel like they can have input, they feel like they match the vibe, they feel like they have access to the people that are involved, and it just fills this void that many of us, if we can be frank, as adults have, right? We have a lot of people that are military veterans that miss that camaraderie, that really need that lifestyle. We have a lot of people like me that were on sports teams from the day we could walk all the way through college and then coaching and then beyond, and there's parts of me that are missing from that camaraderie. When you build a lifestyle brand, when you build a community around a live stream, you fill those missing pieces, and that vibe it gives to a company that's adding positive value to their life at the same time. You can't even measure it. You can't even explain it. It's unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable. So just beyond excited for all of that. And if you guys have questions, we're coming up here in a little bit where we're going to have any kind of questions that you have. I already have a question starred from Jill and from Abe, but anything more than that, please drop in the chat at this time. Now, Nick, can you give us just a little bit of a teaser of some future episodes, maybe some people in mind, whether you can say the name or not, or just different topics that we're going to be looking into as we can look to the future? And if anybody in the chat is like, man, when it comes to data management, when it comes to cybersecurity, I would love to have an episode about this, or I would love this type of person. We want to hear from you guys. We want you guys to be that roadmap to the show while we're getting you into the world of Congruity 360. So any future teasers for us, Nick?
Oh yeah. So there's a few coming up. So so for next week is still a bit of a question mark. It depends how bribable people are, really, is what's going to land next week. Is that, I've tried the assumptive route where people are just going to go along with it and do it. And that's kind of working, but I think I got a little ways to go. So we're still working on next week. It's to be determined. It's between two people. One of them knows about it. The other one doesn't. And I will say they're both internal Congruity 360 people that sit in front of a bunch of really cool products who have been there for it for the whole time. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Whichever way it goes, it's going to be a great week next week. And I think the focus of next week is probably going to be talking about some roadmap items and talking about some futures, because either one of the people that I'm looking at to come on are both sitting in front of some new product roadmaps, and they sit in front of some really cool technology, and I want to get them talking about it.
Best of luck, Aaron.
Best of luck. Oh, yeah. So listen, I mean, the bribes are starting to get commas. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. So now, much more willing participant the week after next week. Confirmed, locked, loaded, ready to go. That will be, what is it? So next week is going to be the 12th. So the 19th. So we're looking at May 19th is going to be someone who works for it used to be a partner of mine. Now they're kind of out in the open market in the government contractor space. And I won't steal all of his thunder, but he's one of the smartest people I know. And he used to be Army Red Team for adversarial penetration testing and digital defense. Yes. So he has seen some stuff. And now out in the world, he is a professional ransomware incident responder, a ransomware negotiator. He is a forensic network architect, and just an overall forensic technologist. So this guy's going to have some awesome stories right from the trenches, literally, which is going to be a lot of fun. The week after that, I have another one of the smartest people I know who's constantly teaching me new things. It's a close friend of mine. He takes a role internally at multiple places that I've founded and run. We've worked together. He's worked with me. He's worked for me. I've worked for him on projects. Going to be a lot of fun there as well. And I think I think OD is in the audience here now. Oops, I accidentally said who I was saying nice things about. Now he knows I think nice things about him.
No pressure.
That's problematic. All right. Now, that's the problem with live streams, just no filter. You just go saying nice things about people, and then they know that you respect who they are in the world. But no, I think I'd say our next three are pretty much, locked and loaded, ready to go, looking really, really cool. And then, as far as things that aren't on the calendar, that's just a view of what's coming up directly next that you guys can put on your calendar and schedule to look forward to. We have founders of other partners of mine. We have people. Oh, stop it. We have people coming on that are CEOs and founders of other partners that I work with. We have people coming on that are senior technologists that sit in front of different types of organizations. Just to name a few. We have people coming in from the financial technology space. We have people coming in from one of the largest payment providers in the entire planet to talk about edge networking and edge security and edge network security and edge application computing, and to talk about how they have a global presence and how they manage structured and unstructured data at rest and in transit from a usability standpoint, and how they manage it internally. So we have just a varied cast of characters that are going to be coming on. And I think what we're going to also do is sprinkle in just like how I think the people we're going to be bringing on are out of the box thinkers. Most of the people that are going to
Yeah.
be watching this are outside of the box thinkers. They're problem solvers. They're innovators. They're engineers. They're architects, right? We're going to have people come on that aren't in the technology space, but that are thought leaders in their space, and talk about how they got to where they are doing what they're doing by doing the right things and putting in the work. And it's just going to it's going to support the same story that we tell here. And it's going to just add a layer of color and add some variety into the stream. So we're going to have a lot of interesting people coming on. And I think we're going to cover a lot of really cool topics. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That. I love that. I have a random question for the chat. If you
Mhm.
know the answer, please refrain from answering here, especially if you're from my beard world. You probably have a pretty good idea, but I'm genuinely curious here. So again, I did kind of the Viking beard. How many inches, if you don't know me, you're not from the beard world, how many inches do you think my beard is currently? And the way you measure a beard is from the bottom of your bottom lip down to the length. I'll try to do my best to kind of back up and show you the Viking beard, but it's always interesting to get the answers. I will say women are far better at judging the measurements. I'll just leave that. Far better at judging the measurements than the men usually are. But anybody out there, especially if you're from Congruity 360 or if you're in that tech space, how many inches do you think my beard is? And let me back up a tad here to show you guys. No more reference.
Regardless of how long, I mean, looking good, dude. First of all,
Hey.
I mean, that's looking on point. Gotta say,
it's kind of sad. I showed Nick a picture for proof. I used today my literal last bit of peppermint rosemary beard oil from Dr. Nick's, which is Nick's former company. And it was bittersweet, but I thought it was fitting for today. So I do have in peppermint rosemary and beard right now.
same. You inspired me earlier with your photo.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And I think it was actually the last bit of mine too, which is
That's
problematic.
Weird. That's weird.
No, it was because you said it. You showed me the photo, and then I went and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the same thing. And I went and grabbed it, and it was like, uh-oh. Okay. Bad at math, but maybe 30. Okay. Now, are we doing
Aaron's
prices right
30.
rules here? We going closest without going over? Is that what we're doing?
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
I think so. I think we got to go Bob Barker with this one.
Okay. And then anybody else, and even if you're from my world and you don't know the answer and you want to take a guess, that's great as well. But I'm always curious because it's so funny. And I will say, as Nick mentioned earlier, I am 6'3". And the only reason I say that is it does matter with how a beard gets perceived. Usually, the shorter the person, the bigger the beard seems, but not always. Okay, so we got 30 inches. We have 11 or 12 from Tyler. All right, we have 18 guests from Jill. All right, TJ says 22 inches. All right, we have Aaron guessing 17 inches. We can stop right there. I measured this morning. My beard is 17 inches long. That is exactly correct.
Nailed it.
Exactly correct.
Oh,
and
man.
so it is pretty ridiculous. I fully know this, but it's my billboard, guys. You gotta keep the billboard fresh, And so whoop whoop.
No,
and
I'm
I will
sitting
say
right at business beard. I'm like military beard compared to you now. I'm like cleaned up.
Right. Are we allowed to say nipples here? Because
look at that. That's the length. Here it is.
I'm just pointing it out. I think you're about nipple length on the beard right now.
Exactly where I'm at. I think I'm right at about like 14, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Which is crazy. Like, because mine does look like when I backed up, I was like, dang, that looks bigger than I thought it was. That beard was huge. But yeah, it's 17 inches right now.
Yep. Look at that. And that was my first trim was down to 18. And I went from 18 right to like 12. I think it was like, it was a crazy cut. I mean, that was like, but it was, again, had to get cleaned up for summer. And this is the first time. I will point out, this is probably the first time I've sat at a desk like this on a camera in 6 years and been able to see the bottom of my beard. It's like a whole new world here, guys. It's like usually once it goes past the bottom of the webcam, it doesn't really matter how long it was. That was always my joke, but here it is. Now it's well above the table now.
I love it. All right, guys, we got about 10 minutes left exactly here. So if you guys have any questions, whether it's about us personally and getting to know us, like little fun facts, we listen to exact opposite styles of music for the most part. Nick is a heavy metal kind of guy. I am pretty much strictly rap and hip hop. Now, Nick does dabble, and I do dabble. We have a little Venn diagram crossover, but very different when it comes to music taste, with sports taste. One thing that we do very much have in common is we are both massive stand-up comedian fans. We watch a lot of stand-up comedy. We go to stand-up comedy shows. So if anybody out there ever wants to bond over some comedy, I am a very, very big fan. I have a personal friend, Sam Talent, who is one of my favorite comedians, and he lives in Michigan now. So
Ooh, name
just
drop.
yeah, you get to know people.
No big
Go
deal.
on, man. You
No
get
big
the
deal.
perks.
Author, actor.
Oh,
stand-up
wow.
comedian.
Tyler's going to see Shane Gillis this Friday.
Oh man,
Dude.
so I was listening to a podcast. My wife has me listening to the Shane and Matt secret podcast. Was it
the McCluster show? Yeah.
Yeah, the Matt McCuster show.
Yeah.
And they were both, he was talking about how like he was talking about how he had like a panic attack on stage, and Shane was there talking to him, and Shane was like, man, he's like, you have no idea how bad I wish I could just step off stage for like 2 minutes sometimes and just like take a full deep breath and then just come back on,
Yeah.
It was one with James McCann on there with him.
Ooh, James McCann's real good. And I love this question, Maddie. Thank you. Favorite stand-up comedians? Legitimately, Shane Gillis is one of my favorites, if not my favorites right now, because it's very challenging, as many people know, to scale a business. I think it's even more challenging to scale as a professional comedian. He has kept himself. He has kept his humor. He is just incredibly funny. I would say if I had to have a favorite right now, it's probably Adam Ray. I would say at this moment, Adam Ray, Sam Talent. I've got a bunch that I really, really enjoy, but if Adam Ray's on, I can't skip it. I can't go beyond it.
No, and I can't watch him like when he does Biden or he does Trump. Like I just can't. I can't keep a straight face. It's like listening to Will Ferrell talk. Like there's something about the way he talks just makes me laugh. I don't know what it is, but for me, I love Shane. Love Ari Maddie. It's just a lot of the people that are I think who I appreciate the most and probably just like listening to Tony Hinchcliffe, right? It's like the fact that he hosts Kill Tony kind of almost takes him out of him being his own stand-up comedian sometimes.
Agreed.
But what I really like about it is the entrepreneurial side of him. One of the things he talks about all the time is how like he followed his dreams and he does what he does because he loves it. And, he kind of makes fun of people that are, following the status quo and doing what they feel like they have to do. And I love that he roasts people like that. And I love that that's one of his points of being able to roast people is that, yeah, well, that's good for you, but I followed my dreams and do what I love. And here I am. And I, not only can I identify with it, I just think he's hilarious.
Yep. And then my other one, the one, if I had to listen to the most content about, it would be Theo Von, just because of his wordplay and the way that he's presented a topic or a question. He thinks of every lane other than forward of how he can address that topic. And it's just brilliant wordplay.
One of the things that cracks me about Theo, like when he's a guest on Kill Tony, is how he doesn't know somebody and he says, it's good to see you. He's like, oh, it's good to see you. It's good to see you. You know, and he's never met that person before. It's just one of his default greetings instead of like, oh, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to hang out. It's like, it was good to see you.
Well, he fears them responding, being like, we've never met. And so he just, hits him with the good to see you. It's his safe
hilarious
play. All right. I love this question. What's the most unconventional skill you've picked up that benefits you in your daily workspace?
Oh, boy.
For me,
unconventional skill.
Yeah. For me, and this is, it's one of the things you don't want to tell people, but it is true. I am obsessed with mannerisms. I study and hound mannerisms of people because I want to know their context clues. I want to know when they're anxious. I want to know when we're doing an interview like this, when you're looking to talk, when you're thinking, when you're puzzled, when you're upset. And it's all I do. You guys, it's a curse. It is a problem. All I do when I go to soccer practice or a restaurant is I just look at mannerisms. I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies, but I'll watch some form of like real world type video because I just love studying people and I can't help it. And I just find humans so unbelievably interesting with how different we are. I also taught public speaking at a university in Michigan, Oakland, the Bears, for 3 years. And so just the science behind public speaking and communicating and getting your message across. I grew up with 2 younger sisters that are, and this is not falsely humble, I don't do false humbleness. They're brilliant, so much more smarter than I was intellectually and with like school. One sister went to Cornell Law. She's an Ivy League lawyer. The other one went to U of M Med. Like just incredible smart people. I had to figure out like what made me me. And it was talking. Every single report card I had was talks too much, talks to too many people. That. And then, hey, Mr. You, look at me now. Look at me now, baby.
You fit in, you know? That's
so that would be me.
Get in where you fit in. You know, so, I mean, oh man, this is a tough question though. You know, you answered it and you stole my answer because it's people. And I think I think us having a similar answer is probably why we get along so well.
Right.
And, you know, but I think honestly, what I picked up over the years is, well, 2 things, you know, growing up, I grew up in a sales family, right? I was the only one that came out a technologist. My dad was in the technology business for a long time. And that's kind of how I got into it, but he was a sales guy. And he was a timeshare salesman for a long time. My other brother runs car dealerships. So everyone was in that kind of customer people focused kind of a business. So, I mean, I was getting sales training, like don't talk past the close since I was like 6 years old. Right. And I think coming out and ending up in the technology world, I like to think it's sort of a rare combination of skills to be a passionate technologist that likes talking to people. I mean, I think it's an interesting combination. A lot of technologists are introverts, and they like, you know, and I don't think that's going to surprise anybody to hear me say that. And I think being an extroverted technologist who likes to collaborate and likes to talk and likes to work with people, I think probably is just one of those things that elevates maybe what I do a little bit, because let's face it, with a face made for radio, it certainly isn't. It's certainly not this that did it, right? It's. I think it's. It's always who you know, and that counts on who you meet.
And you should see Nick and I in person walking down the street, like Daytona Beach in Florida, and the amount of people. Because like I feel like when you have one beard, like some people will talk to you, some will address it, but many people are like, When you get 2 big beards together, I think there's a universal rule that you can approach those beards and talk to them.
Oh yeah,
it's a full show. Nick and I walking down the road, especially if it's like where some establishments that serve liquid courage are around. They come out, and Nick and I, neither of us drink, and so but the people that are on the streets do. That's a full course meal of mannerisms and human interactions.
Oh boy, we'll have to have a stream where like part of it's dedicated to like what's the most offensive or inappropriate interactions you've had with people because of a beard. Those are always good ones.
And then we'll end with this one. Abe and Chris, I have your questions starred. We'll address them on future weeks, but feel free to bring them back again. Absolutely. And I would love to pose this to anybody in the chat. Everybody right now is on some form of technology, whether it's your phone, your work computer, you're listening in some earbuds. I want to know, and this is coming from Jill, what was your gateway into the tech world? Whether it's all the way to data management and cybersecurity, whether it's listening to live streams, what began your path on the technology side of things? And I'll kick mine off. Of course, video games as a kid. That was kind of my start. I had a PlayStation. We didn't have much money kind of for those things growing up, so that was like the biggest deal of all time for me. But then it truly was long-form content. I just like listening to people. I just like hearing stories about people. So the concept of even podcast before it was a podcast, I got into and loved, and it was how I consume content. And that has just kind of guided me to where I'm at today. is that love of conversation and people, and it really brought me here in the kind of coolest world of technology and convo and meeting us where we're at. And I don't know your answer, Nick. What got you into Cisco and getting into that stuff? Because that's not your normal path.
No, definitely not your normal path. You know, sheer determination and a little bit of luck is what got me to Cisco for sure. And I think being a little delusional, but what got me into the technology space just kind of beginning was there was a period of time where I kind of earned my allowance piecing together white box servers for my dad, who at the time had a computer mail order business.
Oh my
So
gosh.
back in my dad, so here's a great ending story for everybody here. And this is
Yeah.
just the types of little fun things that we'll have is
Tangents.
my dad was so early on in the technology world back in the late 70s that when he started up a software company and it was Micro Mountain Computers. They resold software and they developed software and they sold computers. And when he went to the bank to open up his bank account for Micro Mountain Computers, the lady at the bank said, "What do you do?" And he says, "We make software." And she said, "What kind? Like flannel pajamas or sweatshirts?" Because the word software wasn't in people's vocabulary yet. And they thought he
Wow.
was talking about like soft clothing, like flannels or sleepwear. So
Interesting.
that's the pedigree, right? Is basically coming home and earning whatever money I would be able to get by putting together build lists of white box servers. So that's really what sparked it off for me.
I didn't know that. Wow. Okay. And then OD said bulletin boards, then the internet in the early 90s. I
Heck
love
yeah.
this answer by Nate here. He said, breaking my family's Windows 98 computer and being the only one who could fix it.
Heck yeah. That'll do it.
Yeah, that's so good. And then Leo said, my boss said, good news and bad news. SBC said, you should be our programmer after a 2 days intro along with the other market. Yeah, good news, bad news.
Yeah. There you go. Drink from the fire hose.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
That this is $100 true story, and he started with Apple 1 or 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That's a percent there. Jim's known me since I was born. He's
Oh,
my dad's
percent.
he's my dad's best friend for a long, long, long time. And so Jim has seen it all happen. He's watched the whole journey, that's for sure. So I got a fact checker here in the audience, guys. I got someone that knows the whole history.
That's super cool. Well, guys, I cannot believe we are actually on overtime right now. That is an hour. I hope people are leaving being like, man, a technology hour can go by like that. Like we just start? Because for me, that was just that quick.
That was
And we're going to
fast.
do this every week. And imagine a guest that we get to pull the best stories that they have, the best passion that's within them. I take that very seriously, and it's just pure excitement for me to be able to do that. So for me to you guys, thank you for giving us a chance with your time. Nobody had to be here today. No one was forced to, and it means the world to us. If you're watching on replay, drop a comment with any questions, any feedback, any thoughts. Get involved on this channel, you guys. It can only grow better, and you are here at the literal ground floor. Episode 1 of this community, of this lifestyle. We're going to build this into something special. Mark my words. These are two guys that are very, very determined. We have a wonderful company behind us that makes it so easy to highlight the amazing things that they're doing. Every week, Tuesday, 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern. Nick, do you have any final words for our friends out there?
Oh man, just buckle up because this is going to be a good one. If anyone's here from the old stream and they liked that, just imagine what we have when we have literally the ability to talk about anything we want and have more guests in a larger platform with a bigger audience. I mean, it's just going to be bigger, better, more fun, and just a bunch more of what you guys are used to, but a whole lot more of it. So stay tuned next week. I mean, who knows? I got to continue my bribery work for next week, but once we lock it in, you guys will see an announcement for that one. But the weeks to come are going to have some great stuff. Really looking forward to it. And thanks for
Cool.
tuning in.
I can throw in a guitar pick and like a little microfiber cloth if that helps seal the deal.
What are you doing with a guitar pick? That came with a mustache wax tin, didn't it?
It did. It did.
Yeah,
I'm
it
not
did. I know
musical,
that's not
though.
for a
Yeah,
guitar.
I'm not. I do air guitar. People are like, stop it. All right, guys. This is what we do. We cause problems by going on tangents. We're going to get out of here. C360 team, thank you guys for trusting us and giving us this platform. We will not let you down. This is going to be incredible. Everybody, please go enjoy your day. Can't wait to read the comments in the future.